You know, I really don't like the fact that we are making this video, but I feel like at this point, it's a comment that needs to be made about the current state of the Montreal Canadiens as they have gone down 2-1 in their third round Eastern Conference Final Series against the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, we did make a video yesterday post Game 3, and you can say that the fact that Montreal lost both times in overtime gives enough reasonable doubt to say that they are still in the series. And by all accounts, they still are. I mean, they're only down by 1. They can still lose one more time and be okay. However, I wanted to dive into some potentially doom and gloom type of conversation surrounding the Habs, because I think if you try to take a look at it through a certain lens, this might be terrifying for Montreal when you really think about it. Let's head over to some tweets here and a post made by David Calabaretta. He, of course, does stuff for the Fourth Period on their website, and he made this tweet the other day that I thought was interesting, especially since he made this tweet before Game 3. Hot take. This may be Montreal's best chance at winning a Stanley Cup throughout their whole contention window. And I'm not discrediting how much better they will be in the future. Now, this is a pretty hot take indeed when you look at the Montreal Canadiens roster and when you see the guys that are talented, that led the charge. How old is Nick Suzuki? Well, he's 27 years old. How old is Cole Caufield? Well, he's, 25? How old's Lane Hudson? He's even younger than that. Same age as Uri Slafkovsky, and Ivan Demidov is a teenager. Yeah, you can say that all of these guys are young enough that the Montreal Canadiens will be better as time goes on. That's not even to talk about Alexander Zhuravsky. That's not even acknowledging Jakub Dobeš and Jacob Fowler, how these players will get better, and therefore how it will make the Canadiens a better team sooner. But David's take is quite intriguing that this may be the best chance Montreal will have at winning a Stanley Cup with this core of guys, and while not discrediting how good they will be in the future. For what it's worth, Habzilla replies saying, "In 5 years from now, we will look back and think how bad the 25-26 team was because they will be miles better." However, some of the other replies say, "Hey, I agree. Tampa Bay will still be competitive next year, as well as Florida, the Bruins, the Flyers, and the Sens." This tweet, of course, is taking a look at the competition in regards to how good Montreal could be. But G. William has a pretty interesting response to it all, too. He says, "Good take. Obviously, the fact that they're 3 wins away from the finals at the moment does most of the heavy lifting for the argument." And I think that makes a lot of sense, too, when you isolate it like this. The Montreal Canadiens are literally 3 wins away from the Stanley Cup Finals. How often is it, can you say, a team is good enough that you can project them as a third-round team? You can't really project the third round every single year, for crying out loud. I understand that heading into the postseason, it's easy to take a look at the top teams and be like, oh yeah, well, Colorado was so good, they're probably going to make the third round, right? But that was Colorado, and they were one of the best regular season teams we had seen this season. Is Montreal going to be that good at some point? Who really knows? And even if they are that good at some point, who's to say that the President's Trophy curse doesn't strike and they get eliminated early in 6 games in the second round or something like that? The fact that they are so close right now sets a really high standard for the future of this core. And I'm not saying it's impossible for them to repeat or even win the gosh darn thing in the future, but I do think that it's not a terrible take to say that right now, this might be Montreal's best chance at winning the cup throughout their whole contention window with this core. Now, for what it's worth, let's dive into some of the doom and gloom about this series and what's happened lately. Michael tweeted this out after game number 3. "I think the series is over. 2 straight OT losses will demoralize the heck out of a team. Carolina is stronger, faster, more tenacious, more motivated. They're just better. The fact these 2 games went to OT with 24 combined shots from Montreal's side is lunacy too. We look completely outmatched, and bearing a completely transformed team in Game 4, I don't think the Canadiens can outlast this Canes team. This is where fatigue comes into it. We'll talk more about fatigue as the video goes on, but you gotta remember the Carolina Hurricanes, they had the most rest out of every team still remaining in the Stanley Cup Playoffs. Tyler Gu says, yeah, it's sad because it very easily could have been 3-0 Montreal. They lost 2 games in overtime, for crying out loud. All it takes is 1 shot for you to win. Not at all, though, Michael said. It would have been the most undeserved 3-0 lead of all time. I agree with this, too. You look at the deserve to win-o-meter, you look at how the games are played. Montreal is getting outplayed in these games versus Carolina. And the fact that they ended up losing twice in OT, despite getting dominated in terms of possession, shots, shot attempts, and actual high-quality expected chances, is quite laughable. NHL Watcher, a noted Montreal Canadiens fan, went out there and said the Canes have been completely dominating the Canadiens. The only reason this series seems close with 2 overtime games is because Frederik Andersen has given up 9 goals on 45 shots for an .800 save percentage. And yeah, that's 45 shots the entire series so far. LOL. Folks on the RHAB subreddit are saying the same thing. Take a look at these narratives being talked about post-game number 3. This is a 110% deserved loss from Montreal. 12 shots all game, constant turnovers, misplaced passes, can't shoot on target, they can't even skate, and they fall over every minute. The Canadiens had more icings than shots. Yeah, guys, I'm gonna be real, it doesn't look good. The team basically had nothing in overtime, and I'm worried the legs might be toast after 2 tough 7-game series and the Canes' rest advantage showing. This is a tough one to drop, really tough. Dobeš once again magnificent, but not really much of anything else in any real kind of dosage. Have to play backs against the wall in Game 4. Have to find the extra gear, or it'll get dark very fast. Another response says, Hudson won't sleep well tonight, it's okay, kid. We love you. He's the reason the rebuild is ahead of schedule. He's the reason the Canadiens are competitive night after night. He's the reason they're in the playoffs. He can make mistakes. He makes up 100 times for every one of those. Sportsnet showing the Carrier headshot on Hudson right before the goal. 12 shots on net. Dobeš deserved better. He got the Carey Price special this game. Stand on your head, but the boys can't put it in or generate offense. Oh well. On to the next one. Good night, everyone. Now, to end off this video, I wanted to go over a tweet made by Habs Fan TV Sports. They do some really great social media work, of course, with the mini-stick and the podcast, but they tweeted this out after Game 3 as well. I think this puts a nice little bow on the end of this video here. Hockey sometimes is a game of inches. On the surface, yes, the Canadiens could have won that game. The chances were there to do so, notably through Matheson, Suzuki, and the refused Dobson goal. But deep down, tonight was a result of the bad hockey we've been able to get away with the past few weeks on this magical run. 24 shots in 2 games is not enough. The Canadiens' first line has been completely neutered, and if it wasn't for Dobeš on most nights, they would look a lot worse. That top 6 needs to get shuffled because nothing is working. The team that we saw impose their game against Tampa and Buffalo is deciding to play Carolina's game, and it hasn't worked out after 3 games. The Habs can beat these guys. Their 37 shots were not impressive at all, but they need to start playing their game again. Keep the faith. Long series ahead. This, of course, is a more optimistic outlook, but I think Canadiens fans might need some optimism at this point when thinking about how far they've gone and where they're at right now. Do the Montreal Canadiens have it in them to bounce back and win against the Carolina Hurricanes after losing in 2 straight overtime contests where they, quite frankly, should not have won at all? Where do you see this series going in games 4, 5, 6, and potentially 7? How do you feel about the Canadiens and all of these tweets that we ended up looking at? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.